Well, hello there everybody. Welcome back to the channel. It's Space Cowboy here with another video for you guys here today, and I hope you guys had a happy Thanksgiving and enjoyed it with your families, as the Cowboys did not disappoint our holiday. They got the win 27-20 over the New York Giants. They sweep the Giants once again, and they get their first home win of the season, moved to 5-7, and now they're at the 14th overall pick for the upcoming draft. Now, at this particular point, I think that pick watch is just going to be something we throw out the window, as we're kind of focused on seeing what these young players can do, as that's really the only hope that I have for watching the remainder of the season. You have people talking about, oh, can the Cowboys go on a playoff run and all this other crap. I'm not here to talk about that. What we're going to talk about is this particular game, what we saw, and things that we need to continue seeing moving forward. So let's start off with the game itself, looking over some of the stats here. Cooper Rush, 195 yards, 21 of 36 in the touchdown. He actually was not sacked a single time. Rico Dowdle, first 100-yard rusher for the Dallas Cowboys in 26 games, I believe they said, from week 1 of the 2023 season. So there's that. Then looking at the other guys along the board, you have Kevontae Turpin, 4 receptions, 53 yards. I like how they're using him in the receiving game. Shout out to Brandon Cooks for coming back and catching a touchdown. And albeit his stat line didn't say much, but I got to give a shout out to Luke Schoonmaker because he has been playing well given the snaps. And I think that's really the only way he's going to grow in that role. Now, looking at the defense, there's a lot to like with what Mike Zimmer's been doing of recent. And as players have been coming back, the team's been playing better. And I've talked about that with how top-heavy the roster is. When those guys are out there that are those starters and they start playing well and they're not hurt, you're going to see some good things. But when they're out, it's disastrous. As we saw with Micah Parsons being out, it was not good. But with him being back in the fold and him playing very well, there are other dudes that are starting to show up. The guys from that 2023 draft class. We're talking about Mozzie. We're talking about Luke Schoonmaker. DeMarvion fucking Overshown, bro. That guy is a beast. He needs to be on the field as much as he can. And I understand that he's been getting banged up as the season has been going through, but he's been making plays. And you need to find a way to get him on the field with both Micah and other guys involved, because this is something that we've been wanting to see, is playmakers at every single level. And I think that really you can just build off of that. I think you have a core of players that you can build around, and I think that's going to be Osa if you give him a long-term extension. You have DeMarvion Overshown, Micah, and then Bland and Diggs, and then really you can just, that's your core, and you just build the defense around that. But talking about what they've done statistically, 6 sacks. Eric Kendricks got a sack. Donovan Wilson got a sack. Osa got a sack. Let's see here. Micah got 1.5 sacks. And Mozzie Smith got a sack. And Carl Lawson got a sack. In fact, they even got a fumble recovery. And, of course, DeMarvion Overshown's pick 6, which was the highlight of the game. I was shocked that he didn't get the player of the game, but not that I care. I would say that he was the player of the game. He was one of the reasons why the Cowboys were able to win the game and really swing momentum back in their favor. Now, finally going over the kicking game, Brandon Aubrey was perfect today. He really didn't have to do anything absurd, but good for him there. And the Cowboys held the Giants in check. I understand it says that they allowed 116 rushing yards, but when you really think about it, Drew Lock had 2 big scrambles that nearly resulted in a sack, but he was able to get out of it. I think one of them, I believe, was the one where he initially scored the touchdown, but they called it back, where it was a blitz, and he nearly got sacked, but he got out of it because someone tripped over someone else. And then the other time was just, one of those other scramble drills. But you look at what they did to the starting running backs, 32 yards, 23 yards, prevented the big play on the rushing end of things for the running backs, which is key. And then, again, just getting to Drew Lock and just making sure he couldn't get into a rhythm was huge. And offensively, the Cowboys had struggles, and, looking what they were doing offensively, it was just like, you got to hope to God that, this doesn't go a certain way. But nah, man, I was really excited to see how things went with the Cowboys. And I think we need to have a discussion about, just so that we're on the same page. I talked about it in the video about who would be the next head coach of the Cowboys in 2025. The first part of it was talking about a short-term extension for Mike McCarthy, which I think he's probably played himself into a new contract. But Space, look at who they beat, and also, I understand that, and I'm not disregarding that. But the thing is you got to put the Cowboy hat on and really think about it from how Jerry's looking at things. If you saw the beginning of the season and he wasn't fired for that, do you really think they're going to let him go after this season? Probably not. And the other part that worries me is who's going to come in and replace him. And as we talked about, we're talking about names like Kellen Moore, Bill Belichick, Mike Zimmer, Jason Witten. And if you don't like any of those guys, then why would we just let Mike McCarthy go? And I've still felt the same way, that I think Mike McCarthy does need to go. We need to start over fresh. But if he does come back, I think one of the things that does need to change is he needs to relinquish his offensive play calling to a new offensive coordinator. I really think that's what needs to happen moving forward. And, I mean, I'm really just trying to put together where we're at and talk about what they need to do and all this other stuff. But, again, there's that. And then talking about there's a discussion about, like, okay, well, the team's now winning games under Cooper Rush. You know, why can't they do this when Dak's there? And all, well, here's the thing, is that if you watch how the offense was moving, it wasn't pretty. You know, I like what I'm seeing from the offensive line, like specifically Brock Hoffman. I think that he's done great in place of Zach Martin, and it's resulted in the run game really showing up and showing out. And, I mean, like, I don't know, like, who would think that this would be the plan. Like, okay, we're going to be more conservative on offense, but that doesn't mean we can't try to do the things that we're doing in these games, right? I think that what worries me, too, is that the way the defense is playing, it's like they play better when Cooper Rush is out there because they feel like that when Dak's out there, he's a Superman and he can save the day. It can't be like that at all. And I think that's where I'm trying to employ, like, I don't think that means we need to go, like, we need to just run the football every single time. And like, but, like, when you really think about it, you know, we aren't getting chunk yardage from the run game. We started getting that in this game. And that was something that I think really turned the page for the game, was that the Cowboys were able to sustain longer drives and their run game was able to get to the Giants. And I think that's really what you need to do. And then going for the draft pick talk, you know, now you're at 14th. And, okay, are you still going to get a blue chip player? Who knows? But, you know, if they're going to draft an other offensive lineman, or they're going to take Ashton Genty out of Boise State, then what the fuck does it matter what pick they have? So I've kind of adopted the viewpoint of we're just going to play the season out, and we'll just see where it ends, right? You know, I don't think they're going to make a run. I don't think they're going to get to the playoffs. But again, our mindset needs to be, what are these young players doing? Mozzie Smith playing better. Luke Schoonmaker is starting to kind of come into his own, not stat-wise, but you're seeing, you know, as things are going along, he's making catches, he's doing what he needs to do. Star from DeMarvin Overshown, we know that. And Tyler Guyton, there's some hiccups, he's been getting banged up as well, but you're kind of starting to see him come into a little bit of his own, albeit a bit slower than some of the other guys. And then, you know, just, you know, Marshawn Nealon's coming back, hasn't really been super effective, but still, and it's just, when we really talk about, you know, where we're at, I don't think they need to do a whole lot in free agency. Again, we're going to look at the list. It's not as extensive. It's a long list, but it's not like you need to bring everybody back. Maybe only like 3 dudes. And so that's where I'm at, is that we're at a position where the Dallas Cowboys, I think, are in a prime position to add some solid veteran talent. And as long as we're in a situation where we can build up this roster, I think 2025 might be a good year for them if they do the right moves. They did nothing this year, and we're seeing how this has resulted in the Cowboys being the record they are. But I'm not even going to start talking about, at this point, Team Tank is out of this thing because they pretty much killed that when they lost to, or when they beat the Commanders and they beat the Giants. But again, it's a long season, guys, and most of the time teams that end 7-10, which would mean that the Cowboys would go 2-5, or excuse me, 2-3, or yeah, 2-3 over the next 5 games. We only got 5 games left. Holy shit! But my point is that a lot can change. We can lose the rest of our games and we're gonna have a top pick, but usually if teams lose double digits, in the record bracket, it's really a matter of, most of those teams get like a top 10 pick anyway. So we'll just see how things pan out. Again, it's a long season still. And for all we know, like, there will be teams that we beat or we lose to that are going to move us up the board. So you got Cincinnati, you got Carolina, you have, I want to say, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, then it's the Eagles, and then the Commanders at home. Now, people say we can make a run. If you really want to have that conversation, I would say we need to get to 7-7 and see some other teams lose. Right now, the Commanders hold the 7th seed, I believe, at 7-5, so the Cowboys are in the hunt technically still. I don't really care. I don't think it would be beneficial for the team, but I would say this: if the team did make the playoffs given the circumstances, I don't know. That says a lot about what the fuck Mike McCarthy's doing, but maybe the bullshit's there. I don't know. But I'll stop it here. I think we've talked long enough. Again, expect the next video to be about the free agency list in 2025. We'll go into detail about that. And then, again, we'll just keep going from there. I think they play next Thursday, I believe, against the Bengals. I think that's on, they said it's like on Disney Plus or ESPN Plus. I don't recall. So we'll figure out how things go in that game, and we'll talk about it. All right, guys. Well, again, happy Thanksgiving. I hope you guys enjoyed the game, and we'll see you later. Bye.